present backlog on the processing of applications of e-passport, both here and abroad, Mr. Secretary?
Our backlog by the end of June will be zero, Mr. Senator. We had a backlog, if I recall, of as much as 30,000 a few weeks ago. By June, end of June, it will be zero.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
The Chair now calls on the head of the House panel to the Commission on Appointments, Representative Golez.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Good morning, Mr. Secretary. Madam Chair, the other members of the Commission, this representation had the pleasure of working with Secretary del Rosario when I was in the cabinet and when he was the ambassador to the U.S. I observed him in action under very stressful conditions during the two visits of the former president. I think the first one was November 2001 and the second one was a state visit May 2003. I saw him in action interacting with officials of the U.S. Department of State, the National Security Council, White House, and of course the Department of Defense. As I said, the situation then was very stressful because of the demands of the President. I would like to salute the Secretary for his patience, something that is very needed in the world of diplomacy. May I also add, Madam Chair, that I remember in the early 90s, the most fashionable buzzword during that time was the arrival of the Pacific Century. This was in the early 90s. There are so many books published about the Pacific Century. Now, we are in the Pacific Century. The center of gravity has shifted to the Pacific area. The three top economies are in the Pacific area, the US, China, Japan, and other emerging. It's not only economic, but also political and even military. In fact, the flashpoints all over the world in other areas would pale in comparison with the flashpoints in the Pacific area. One of them mentioned already by Senator Angara. We have the South China Sea, the Spratlys, we have the Taiwan Straits, and we have the Korean Peninsula. Something that would demand a lot from you, Mr. Secretary. In my opinion, the best way to deal with this is still diplomatic. That's why I would like to ask the Secretary, how would you deal with a situation like this? What are you bringing to the table to ensure that we, being still a minor player in an area where a lot is at stake, economically, politically, and militarily, what are you bringing to the table, Mr. Secretary, aside from your experience as ambassador to the U.S.? Thank you.